everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gina Lucius, and I'm the product manager for our hand tools here at RIDGID. I'm going to just talk to you for a few minutes today about the drilling program, what that means to you, what some of the different segments are, the history behind the development, and then what some of the new products are that we're going to be looking at moving forward. It is important for you to understand that when we talk about drilling, there are two primary types of drilling. There's oil and gas drilling, and then there's mineral exploration drilling. Mineral exploration drilling is the type of drilling that actually takes core samples from the earth to do some kind of analysis. There are three primary segments of mineral exploration drilling that we're going to be focusing on, and I'd like to explain a little bit about those to you. The first segment that we're talking about is mineral exploration drilling. That's probably what you're most familiar with. Mineral exploration drilling is when they take samples of the earth to determine the content of natural ore resources. They do this type of soil sampling before they decide where is the best place to put in any kind of new mines, to develop new mines and increase the mining activity. The second kind of drilling that utilizes soil sampling is called geotechnical drilling. Geotechnical drilling is very common in any kind of construction environment. Prior to building any kind of new skyscraper, new building, any type of structure, they have to sample the earth to determine the characteristics of the soil so that the engineers can understand how they have to build the structure and the foundation of this new building. Do they have to reinforce the walls somehow? Do they have to grade the soil? What is it that they have to do to alter the design of the structure and foundation to make sure that it is stable and will last as long as humanly possible? The third type of drilling that we're going to be looking at is called environmental drilling. Environmental drilling is when they take soil samples to test for either the presence of or level of contaminants in the soil or the groundwater. Environmental drilling occurs in any type of landfills, around any industrial or manufacturing environments. They do this kind of sampling on a somewhat frequent or contractual basis so that they can continuously monitor the level of contaminants that are going into the soil and the groundwater. So those are the three primary segments of drilling that we're going to be focusing on with our first set of new products. Now, when you do soil sampling, there are two primary components outside of your typical drill rod that we need to talk about. The first is called the outer core barrel. The second is called the inner core barrel. These two tubes work together so that they can create the soil sample. The part of the earth, the soil sample, is actually collected inside of this inner core barrel. In between the inner core barrel and the outer core barrel is a continuous movement of some kind of fluid, whether it's air, water, some kind of drilling mud, oil, whatever it is that they use between these two tubes in order to ensure that they're going to be getting that soil sample that they need. The two things that you need to look at when looking at this system, one is the outer diameter versus the inner diameter. So the wall thickness of the outer tube versus the wall thickness of the inner tube. You can see that your wall thickness of the outer tube is much, much thicker than the inner tube. The other thing that you need to look at is how tightly these tubes actually fit together. There's very little room between the two, and in that space is where the drilling fluid, whatever it is, has to be able to continuously flush in order for the system to function. This inner tube is thin and the surface is very fragile. So if you were to use a traditional pipe wrench on this surface, you would either egg-shape the surface of the tube or you would do some kind of surface damage. Either of those things would prevent this system from working because it would prevent this inner tube from sliding in a continuous manner through the outer tube. Anyone who's doing core sampling in the market today uses some kind of specialty wrench. There are certain types of wrenches that exist right now, and these you may or may not be familiar with. This is one type of this full circle wrench. They go completely around the tube and then lock into place. This allows the end user to actually break open those core barrel connections. However, there are some weaknesses in the products that exist right now. First is that you can see it's relatively flimsy. They're not made to any kind of strict standards by any quality organization. The gripping surface on these types of wrenches can be one of two things. The first is a carbide deposit of some sort that goes completely around the entire surface of the jaw set. The other type of gripping surface that exists on these wrenches are some kind of insert. This has a diamond-shaped insert. You can see this has 3 different inserts on the center of the wrench. Again, this is a different wrench made by a different company, very flimsy design, very low quality, and very hard to find. So after all of the research we've done in talking, I've been out to see over 20 different drilling contractors all over the world, and the feedback that we found was our end users are looking for something that is higher quality, made by a company that uses certified materials, with a gripping surface that's going to last a little bit longer, not do any damage to the surface, and where the gripping surface won't chip or wear away very quickly, as they currently do right now.